What's going on, everybody? Josh Parris here from RB Bass. Today I'm going to do a little recap of the BABC Swimbait tournament out on New Maloney's. It was back in October 28th. I've been meaning to get something out for the last couple weeks, just haven't had a chance to do it. So pretty much going to break down what we did in pre-fish, how the tournament went, the whole nine, and the baits we used. So BABC brought a tournament to Maloney's, swim baits only, 6 inches or bigger, boot tail glide bait, didn't really matter. You could also throw A-rigs, they had to be the baits had to be 6 inches or better. Pretty much already kind of, knew the conditions. Maloney's is my home lake, and partnered up with my buddy John Liechy, and we pretty much started pre-fishing for this deal. The swim bait tournament our bite was far from on. Water temperature was still 68 to 70 degrees. Trout hadn't moved up. They weren't planning on doing any plants anytime soon. And the fish were still really keyed in on bait. Clarity was good, 10 to 12 feet, but still didn't help. They were on bait. They were offshore chasing bait. There were a few bites to be had, but if you got 1 or 2 bites in a day, that was a good day. So coming into the event, I just didn't have a whole lot of confidence in anything 6 inches-ish. Those fish were keyed in on really small 2-3 inch shad. So I immediately jumped to 8 inches or bigger, kind of stuck with that through pre-fish and even the tournament. In pre-fish, I did catch quite a few fish, not quite a few. I caught, 1 or 2 a day, even blanked one day. But the River2sea S Waver in trout pattern was pretty much the bait that I was confident I was getting bites on. What I did find in pre-fish, though, that was the bigger baits were excellent for finding fish. I could really find fish pretty fast, actually, running a bunch of water, throwing big baits. The Deps 250 was one, and then the Balam 300 was the other one that I used. 10-inch bait, 12-inch bait. They weren't exactly swinging 100% of the time on these baits, but they were intrigued enough to follow it. And I saw some absolute giants in pre-fish on these baits. They didn't even look fishy. They weren't even looking like they wanted to eat it more. They were just intrigued. They hadn't seen a trout since last year, and they were following it. But it did help me eliminate a lot of water and find productive water. I did end up finding a pattern. Fishing a couple key areas in which there were some schools of spotted bass that were willing to swing. If you could get them fired up, they would come up and they would swing. The one bait that, I did get them to swing on the Balam 300 and the 250, but the bait that they're spots, they got small mouths. Most of them were 3 to 5 pounds. The bait that seemed like I had the best hookup ratio on was the S Waver 200. Coming into game day, me and John kind of smashed everything together and realized, that we both reconfirmed it was really 2 areas. We both fished them, had the same results, figured they were off limits until tournament day. And game day rolled up, and that was pretty much our plan, is go hit those 2 areas, try to get a limit. Limit was 3 fish, and, go swing, try to find an absolute giant pretty much. So, during blast off, we ended up being very end of blast off, second or third from the last to go out. Figured, our spots might be taken. We ended up making a very last minute call to hit a spot where we had both seen some absolute giants, and figured, it might be the only chance we get to hit it anyways. And if it's open, we might as well, and then we'll go, carry on with our game plan. Pull up on our first spot, nobody was there. The spot that we'd kind of made that last minute decision on. And I jump up front, grab the S Waver 200, bomb it out there. Actually, I was a little excited, made a cast a little too early, and I ended up landing a little bit short on my target. But nonetheless, started retrieving it, working it back. Very first cast of the morning. Had gotten pretty much just past the point where I figured I should have gotten bit already. If I was going to get bit, I would have already gotten bit. So did a quick pop with the S Waver, and ended up, just getting, smashed. Just rod loads up, and this fish just starts digging. First thought in my mind was giant spot. I had seen 2 absolute tank spots on this, over 10 pounders in pre-fish, so I figured that I have an absolute giant spot. Trying to loosen up my drag. We're both, he's already got the net, he's ready to go, but trying to loosen up my drag, ended up loosening it up too much. you know, get it back set right. This fish is just digging. I mean, one of the hardest fighting fish I've ever dealt with, really. Swim bait game, anyways. So ended up getting it to the boat, makes one swirl, goes back down, digs again, get it back up to the boat. John nets it like a champ, tosses it in the boat, and I mean, we both just went right back to work. I mean, I grabbed the fish, throw it in the live well. It was a big fish for sure. I mean, he was probably pushing. We both, you know, looked at each other and were like, yeah, that's probably 10. Continued on. We both made a couple more casts at that same spot. Kind of ignited something because we both got a couple more bites right there, and then nothing. So it's like, all right, it's time to go to our game plan now that we have one good kicker fish. Let's go get those couple of extra spots. And I mean, like I said, coming into the event, we both figured if you had a limit, I mean, even of 3 or 4 pound spots, you'd win this deal. I mean, the bite was tough. Or one big fish, you know, something or another. You know, there weren't going to be a lot of fish weighed in. We both knew that. So we run to our next spot. I mean, I would have bet my bottom dollar we would have been able to at least catch one spot between these two areas, and we never even got a bite. I mean, really kind of spiraled from there downwards. I mean, I ended up getting one more bite probably about midday. S Waver 200 again. Came off halfway back to the boat. Didn't feel big. Felt like probably a 3-4 pound spot. Very end of the day, I had one more opportunity. Working my S Waver kind of different than most do. I'll try to put something out here before too long on some of the things I do with the glide baits. But ends up coming up, came up twice on the bait, just couldn't get a hook in it. It was big, it was 4 or 5 pound spot, but just couldn't actually get a hook in her. Game day was over, time to go weigh in and see what had happened. As we're idling in, I mean, we're watching boat after boat just forego weigh in. Weigh in was right by the ramps. I mean, they're just going straight over, putting their boat on their trailer and leaving. Kind of, you know, like in our minds, you're like, we only have one fish. It's a good fish, but still, you know, I mean, it's a tournament. You never know what somebody's got. Plus, this was a tournament where quite a few really good local guys came out for. I mean, it had me worried because I know what these guys are capable of. I've been fishing against a lot of them for a long time, and they've taken a lot of my money over the years. So, anyways, I ended up getting to weigh in, and we were actually the first boat to weigh in a fish. Weigh in our fish, it was 1187, I believe. Yeah, 11. It was just under 12, 11 3/4, however. But so weighed in. We're waiting. 3 more teams, actually. Only 3 other teams ended up weighing in fish. 2 of them each only had one fish, a 3 pounder, and I think somebody had a 4 pounder. And then one guy actually did weigh in a limit, but I think his limit was only good for 7 and some change. So not a lot of fish caught. I mean, I think that's a total of 6 fish for the whole tournament caught. I think there was like 22 boats. Tough day out there. The one big fish we did have was actually big enough to give us big fish and the win. Super pumped about that. Being our home lake for both of us, we both put a lot of pressure on ourselves coming into this event, you know, to do well. And yeah. So, like I said, I'll definitely put out another video on swim baits. I'm looking forward to it. Video I'm excited to do, talk about swim baits, seeing as how, you know, it's just around the corner. Actually, now that it's in November, I mean, it's pretty much here. Just what I do, what I like to do, and maybe give you guys some pointers. So, thanks again. Thanks to everybody who supports RB Bass, my fans, my sponsors especially, and my family for, you know, giving me the time to do this. Thanks everyone. We'll see you out there.